Good, brother. Actually, I was gonna tell you, I just went back to work for the first time in a couple of weeks. Yesterday,
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
did some overtime. Great first day.
Cool. You like the overtime. That's awesome.
And I'm being sarcastic. It was horrible.
Hey, I was gonna say, some people like it. I'm like, man, they tell me overtime. I'm like, shh, here we
Yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah.
And every time on our side, it's always when they tell me overtime, it's always 2 hours.
Not really.
Yeah, it's
Nah.
never like, hey, you like on the other side where you work. When I was over there, is like, you work till it's done, and sometimes it's 40 minutes, sometimes whatever.
Yeah.
But over here, it's 2 hours every time.
Well, you know what it is. I don't mind overtime if it's constantly working. If I'm constantly working, but over there, you already know if you're. Well, basically, we're just waiting for trailers. So
Trails.
I'm just
Yeah.
standing around, just freezing my butt off, and
Right.
that
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
that is not fun, man.
No.
So yeah, so it was kind of torture, man. But
Yeah,
oh
it's
well.
always tough coming back from vacay.
What the hell's up with this thing? It's not playing the music.
Yeah, I hear it.
You hear the music?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, there it is. I don't know. Stupid computer. All right. Anyway, so I guess so the only thing I've been looking at the feed, the X feed all week. The biggest news, I guess, is just the debate that's going to be going on next week. As far as I know, you know any headlines? You got any headlines? Anything that you've seen?
Um. Um. No, not really. I wanted to. We talked about it before. I wanted to just go over the electoral college real quick because a lot of people have an issue with that.
Oh, it's coming up.
So just
People are really.
no. Just to explain how the electoral college works versus the popular vote.
All right, yeah,
Yeah, I just wanted to go over that. We could start with that, I guess,
yeah,
and then yeah,
yeah. Go for it.
I'll think about
Did,
think
did
about
you
any current events.
did you find out the history about it? Well, how long has it been in place? Has it been in
Yeah,
place?
it's in the Constitution, so
Oh, really?
it,
Okay.
it's from the very founding of the country that they put, and it's brilliant. The guys who founded our country because they came from England, and that was a monarchy, where you didn't have much rights, if any. Well, you had a little bit, but not like here. So they wanted to make sure that people that get in power, you can't trust people in power, so they put in the electoral college so that um, it would make it so everybody has a voice. Without the electoral college, you're going to remove the voice of millions of Americans in states that have less population, and that's why it's in place. So most people, it's intuitive to think, hey, whoever gets the most votes wins. That makes sense. But the problem with that, and the reason they have the electoral college, is because if you do it that way, you only need 200. I mean, you would just go to the big states: California, New York, Texas, Florida, Pennsylvania. You basically just the presidential candidates would just really inundate the coast. They would just visit the coast, and they would promise them all kinds of things. And when they're elected, they would be given all these big states, big population states, most of the federal funding, if not all of it, and they would ignore the smaller states in the middle, and those people wouldn't get a whole lot of federal funding. The candidates wouldn't even visit there. If they did, it would just be out of the kindness of the heart because they don't need them. If you win those big states, you're going to win the popular vote.
Yeah.
So what they did was they said, we're going to give every state electoral college votes based on their population. So the biggest state population wise, California, has 54 electoral votes. So they still get more votes for president, but they just don't get to monopolize it. Whereas like a smaller state like Nebraska, I don't know what they have. I'll say seven. They probably have like 5, 7, 10 electoral votes.
Yeah.
So they still get a say so based on their population. So that the people who run for president have to at least acknowledge them and pay them some attention and give them some federal funding. So that because it usually does come down to smaller states at the end, because in a close race you need 270 electoral votes, and
Hmm.
you're going to
Yeah.
need to get a lot of states and a lot of small states as well to win the presidency. if it wasn't for the Electoral College, you wouldn't need any small states and they would be ignored. And that's why the United States is a republic democracy, not a democracy. That's the other fallacy people think, is that we live in the United States is a democracy. It's a republic democracy.
Yeah.
And the difference, a democracy is the same as a popular vote. It's just majority wins. So you could have a vote say in California that, hey, we don't like gay people, right? We're going to outlaw homosexuality. Well, if the majority of people voted for that, probably wouldn't in California, but you get my point.
Yeah.
Let's just say hypothetically that they said we don't want gay people to have any rights. We're going to outlaw homosexuality, and the majority vote for that. In a democracy, that's the law. But in a republic democracy, the republic says yes, the majority wins, but if it violates their constitutional rights, their civil rights, then it's not legal. So then the republic, a republic democracy, will take it to court and say, no, this is in violation of your constitution. You can't vote by popular vote away somebody's rights in a republic.
Wow, really?
So those two things are important for people to understand. Who, I think a lot of people don't really quite understand how that works. But basically, the United States Constitution and the Electoral College is set up. The republic is set up for the popular vote to win, as long as it's not violating other people's rights and everybody gets a voice.
Yeah.
So it's brilliant, but
Yeah. No.
people need to understand that, because, like I said, it makes sense that the most votes would win, but it would silence a large portion of the country. They would have no votes. You'd probably have the whole Midwest evacuated and become like a no man's land where you have bandits and cartels or whatever going on there, lawlessness, because the federal government's not interested in that anymore, right? They don't need it, so they're not going to be spending a lot of federal dollars there. Their economies are going to be really bad. They're going to just leave, and the only people going to stay there will be criminal elements. So it would be very destructive to the United States if we went with popular vote.
Yeah,
So
that makes sense.
that's
Yeah.
why they do it.
Yeah. I've always I've never understood it, and yeah, when you broke it down to me like that, yeah, that makes a lot more sense. Just it gives every state, just recognition, as if it was just completely by majority. Yeah, you're right. Most of the
And, and,
populations
and
on
the
the
beauty
coast.
is, I mean, it's such a brilliant thing, because the beauty is it still is by the states that have a higher population, they still get more votes. They
Yeah.
just don't get them all,
Yeah.
right? The smaller states get less votes, but at least they get a vote.
Yeah. And yeah,
So it was just brilliant by the forefathers to think ahead like this, because they came from such a tyrannical system that they were aware of these sorts of things. The Constitution and Electoral College and things like that are put in place in the balance of power between the executive, congressional, and our legislative and judicial. These things are all put in place because they didn't trust men running governments, and they had every right to think that, because where they came from and the history of men running governments is pretty much fraught with corruption. So they put into place all these things to try to um, check and balance corruption, to keep it from happening. It's still happening, but it took a long time for us to get to this point where our government is now corrupt. But Jefferson said, I don't know if it's 50 or 75 years. He said, Thomas Jefferson said, you need a revolution every 50 to 75 years to maintain freedom. Otherwise, it will be taken away. Even with these safeguards in place, the corruption will overcome them. And that was very wise of him. And we're in a place now where our government it's corrupt. Our federal government, well, even state and local, a lot of them are corrupt as well, but the federal government's corrupt completely, so um, Jefferson called it. It took longer than he thought, but he definitely called it, because the way the government becomes corrupt is you put in, like, in the beginning they put in these safeguards, and they had people who were legitimately about the people and about people's rights and equality.
yeah.
And so they put that in place, but over time, you're going to have bad actors who get in, and
Yeah.
they're going to cheat, lie, steal, do whatever to get in. And a lot of them get caught, they get outed. But eventually some get in, and then they help others get in, and others get in, like-minded people, and eventually, because they're not playing by the rules, they beat the people playing by the rules. And so now we're in a situation where the people who don't play by the rules have taken over everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
because the people trying to fight back are still adhering to the rules.
Yeah.
So the system, no system's um, perfect, and it's going to be corrupted no matter what government you set up. This one's a good one, but they're all going to be corrupted at some point, and you have to take action at that point. And I mean, according to Jefferson, that's a revolution. And kind of real the reality of it. I don't know how we're going to get out of it, other than that.
I often wonder how much like technology has to do with how they're like behaving nowadays. I mean, I don't know. It kind of feels like there's probably been like-minded people in government for a long time, but they've never known exactly the mentality of the people. I think they've always kind of still feared the people, so they were always put themselves on check, just not knowing how the people will react. But these days, with just you know the spying powers that they have and stuff like that, I wonder if they have like a pulse like on the country, on the people, and just know what really drives them and what makes them react and stuff like that, so they could kind of prepare for it. And if that's giving them like their courage to do what they're doing now, because it's never been this bad before, where they're just destroying regular American institutions, like the rule of law and stuff, just for their own purposes. I wonder if it's all coming from them just knowing. Everybody has a cell phone. If they have some sort of machine that just kind of can accumulate like everybody's mentality, and they know like what
Well,
they
I'm sure
can
they
and
have
can't do.
algorithms that are running.
Yeah, I mean, something like that. I wonder if just basically how much technology is.
But correct me if I'm wrong. Like in your life, how many people, like percentage wise, have you talked to throughout your life that were when you talk politics? What percentage of them were like interested in it, and what percentage weren't? Like just throw it out, a ballpark.
Like in a serious
Like if
matter, very few.
yeah, like
Yeah,
people that were paying attention
yeah,
versus
no,
people that weren't paying attention.
yeah, no. Very very small percentage of people that actually pay attention, man. So
Okay, and so there's how they did it, right?
yeah,
People go, I don't want to be bothered with it. I'm too busy, and people are, but they don't understand how important it is, because when the majority of people go, you know what, I don't have time for this. I don't want to be bothered with it. I don't care about it, and they just trust the
yeah,
people in power are going to do the right thing. And then the people in power, when they get these corrupt people in there, they go, look, these people aren't even paying attention. They're just trusting us. We can do whatever we want.
yeah,
And that's what they've done. And there's a great saying, and it exactly explains our country and really the human race. And it's hard times create strong men.
oh yeah,
Strong men create great civilizations. Great civilizations create weak men. Weak men destroy great civilizations. So in the beginning,
yeah,
it was hard times here, and you had strong men, and they were paying attention because they came from tyranny, right? And then over time, they were able to create this system of government where you had the most equality the human race has ever seen. It wasn't perfect, but they did, and they created a great civilization with a free market that eclipsed the entire world it had ever seen. Then people got very complacent and used to that, and then they quit paying attention, and they just trusted that system and those people would keep acting the same way they were. But the corrupt people got in, and they took advantage of that complacency. So now you got corruption running rampant, and it's because the majority of people, they don't want to be bothered. You talk politics to somebody, and they're like, "Oh, I don't want to hear," But
yeah,
there's nothing really more important other than God, right? Like these people are making decisions in your life, and you see it now. You got bad people in charge. Your gas prices are through the roof. Your grocery prices are through the roof. Buying a car is through the roof. Buying a house is through the roof. Most people can't even afford to buy a house, and they don't even think they're going to in their lifetime anymore. And that's because you have a corrupt government that grew out of people not wanting to pay attention.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
If
it's that
people had
whole.
paid attention, they would have caught them doing this early on and said, "Nah, no, what are you doing? No, I don't think so." Right? And then they play the game of get on the red team, get on the blue team. The red team being Republican, the blue team being Democrat, right? Pick your team. It's like, oh, are you a Dolphin fan or a Cowboy fan, right? You're
Yeah,
just gonna go with that team no matter what. right? When they do wrong, you don't call them on it, and you vote for them religiously, no matter what, and defend them religiously because they've propagandized you that that's your team. You're not on a team. You're an American. You're on the American team. And on the American team, you should always be voting and looking for the people who are righteous, who are going to do the right thing by the American people, not just because they're on your team. You shouldn't have a team like that. But they've done that very successfully too. Very simple method. Hey, which team you on? We're even going to
Yeah,
color code it for you, red or blue, right? So you can visualize it, and then you go with that.
yeah,
And then they have them most of the time for life, and they'll just vote party lines. Doesn't matter
yeah,
what the person does, what the other side looks like. They don't even care. I'm just voting these people because I'm not going to pay attention to politics. I know what color my team is, and I just vote that color. That's what I was told to do. That makes it simple where I don't have to worry about it. But the problem is that was all a ploy to get you to do their bidding for bad actors, and it's worked. It's worked fantastic for them.
yeah. It's funny. I've actually kind of noticed that in these new Trump supporters. They keep interviewing a bunch of people that have kind of become Trump supporters since he got convicted, and they'll ask him questions, and it's not like they'll try to get like the reporters will try to get details out of them, but you could tell like they don't know all the stuff that we're learning that me and you know. Most people that follow politics, they're just kind of on the surface, don't like that he was convicted, and they just think that's crooked. And obviously, there's always been some sort of a mistrust of government, but not to see a candidate being treated that way, it just makes them. I think that's kind of a lot what happened with Trump and these new supporters, but it's that basically the same thing. Like these guys, they don't know how deep it actually goes, how bad it actually really is. So still a good thing that they're supporting him, but yeah, they're gonna get their minds blown once they figure out how much corruption has actually occurred lately. So yeah, and I would say that even myself, I think you yourself had admitted, we just trust the government to do the right thing, and then it takes some sort of event to kind of wake us up and realize, it's not as simple as these people are elected to do the right thing for the people. It's a lot more layers to it, and just a lot of human nature just goes like kicks in and starts messing things up. But
Well, you know why? You know it's really got people's attention, and now you got people who would normally have not voted for Trump now supporting Trump. The real thing,
what's that?
money, money. Like
Yeah,
they go
that's
fill up their gas tank. It's like they can't. You can't afford anything anymore.
yeah, yeah.
And
That's
so
actually
they're
what they
like,
say. That's
Trump
what they.
things were way cheaper, and now things are way more expensive. So they're like, so then they start looking at it like, why is this happening? And then they start noticing the corruption and understanding the deeper level of what's actually going on. But the deeper corruption isn't what got them there. It's the grocery prices, it's the gas prices, it's the rent prices, right?
Yeah,
And then you got the illegals coming in taking their jobs. The majority of new jobs go to illegal aliens, right? They want to bring in illegal aliens, give them your jobs, raise the price of everything. Now you don't got a job, or your wages are being cut because they undercut you with cheaper labor. Then the price of everything's higher, and then you start going, wait, what's going on? And then you'll start actually listening to people outside of the propaganda box. That's state-run propaganda, MSNBC, NBC, ABC, CBS, all of them,
yeah,
CNN, the worst.
yeah.
And then they start looking somewhere else, and they go, wait, I didn't even know any of this stuff, and that makes them even more like pissed off.
Yeah.
But it's really when you nail people's money like this, that's
Yeah.
when they wake up. And so that's really, I think, what's woken people up to Trump.
Yeah, that's actually you're right. That's actually what they've been saying in the interviews. Like they'll just start bringing up how it was for them when Trump was in power and how it is now. That's kind of one of the reasons. Well, their main reason actually, but how the convictions kind of woke them up. But yeah, just seeing how much they're paying now for everything. I keep wondering though, how the hell is it the Democrats could the Democrats have known this was going to happen? How could they have thought that everybody was still going to, be happy with the inflation, with the prices of gas, with the prices of with the illegal immigration, and did they really think that many illegal immigrants were going to come here and like no, they weren't going to be violent and they weren't going to be killing people? And
Well,
what the
so
hell were they thinking? Like,
the ironic part about that is like, so the price of everything didn't have to go up under Democrats. They manipulated that intentionally to take away buying power from the middle class. They don't want, because if you cut out the middle class, you're able to seize power. So they could have kept the prices low and had their corrupt government in place, right? They could have just kept Trump's policies in place and had a corrupt government and they would have got reelected. But that's not enough for them. They're going for more than that. They want to seize power completely to where there's never anybody that would challenge them again. And so in order to do that, you need to weaken the American people. You need to bring in people, foreigners, to vote in your elections because you're not going to win with the American people alone. That's why all these people are coming here. They're not coming here because Democrats are nice people. They're coming here because Democrats know if we want to win an election without rigging it, um, we're going to need foreigners to vote in our elections and give us the win. So you're going to have millions of people who aren't Americans deciding who the American president is. So they're basically seizing power, and the price of things is just a way to weaken people, um, for what they're going for. Eventually, is to just seize power completely.
no,
Um, it's funny, they didn't have to have these high prices. They could have they would have been an easier road for them to really maintain power. But then there is a chance that they could lose an election down the road. Now they will rig elections if they need to, but they would rather not. But bringing in foreign millions of foreign people to voting in any country's election is rigging elections.
yeah,
Like, imagine your government is saying, we want to win the election and maintain power. We can't do it with the people who are citizens, our citizens. So we're going to bring in foreigners to win an election. It's insane.
yeah,
But that's exactly what they're doing. That's why they're doing it. You can't tell me that Joe Biden and Pelosi and Schumer and all these people care about people from Guatemala or Ecuador. They don't give a shit,
yeah,
right? These are the rich elite people. These people are hundreds of millions of dollars living their lifestyle you'll never live.
yeah,
But they care about Juan from Ecuador and his
yeah,
plight. They don't give a shit. You're just a tool to undercut the American vote so we can win elections without the American people.
yeah. I wonder
So
if
yeah,
could their plan have been like Trump not running? Like they've been doing this whole thing. They were just hoping he didn't run because what other
right. That's
Republican after?
exactly what they were hoping.
Yeah, like they're hoping he dropped out or just didn't run, or just, now they're going as far as just trying to put him in jail and just get him completely out of the race. But if you think about it, what other Republican could have held that? Held that weight. There's
None.
none. There's nobody.
None.
Vivek
And
could
that's
have,
what they
but
were
I don't
counting on.
think. Yeah, nobody would have rallied behind Vivek that hard. He says the right things,
Well,
but
and if they were doing this to any other person, probably on the damn planet, they would have dropped out. Like,
yeah,
Trump is a billionaire, right? He
yeah,
doesn't need to do this. So what they did was, we're going to put a stupid amount of pressure on you, including felony convictions and possible prison time. We're going to just, we're going to destroy you.
yeah,
And the longer you stay in, the harder we're going to come. But the second you back out and don't challenge power, you're good. So Trump doesn't have to do any of this. And in their minds, they're like, you know what? He will drop out because he'll get tired of this. We will wear him out.
yeah,
And he'll go, you know what? Enough's enough. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm just going to go back to my rich, cozy lifestyle. But Trump is
yeah. Well,
unexpected to them. He's a true American.
yeah, that makes sense then. Yeah, that they would do all this
Oh, they thought
nonsense.
he would break.
Yeah,
Because
and that,
anybody would have broken under this. Anybody, what they put Trump through, anybody would have broken under that. Trump is different.
mhm,
He's stronger. He's stronger than anybody else probably on the damn planet in this regard. If you put everybody on the planet through the same scenario, I bet there may be 0.0001% of people would have held their ground.
Yeah.
Because if he walked away, they leave him alone.
Yeah.
And he doesn't
Yeah.
need anything. He's a billionaire already. It's not like he needs to be president. It's not like he needs, he doesn't need any of this. He's doing this for us. And that's the biggest threat to them that they could possibly imagine. Wait a minute. This guy's actually trying to take away the corrupt government that we put in place. All these years we've been working on it, and we're real close to our goal, and he's the threat to it. And so they thought, man, we do all these things, we're going to have DAs all over the country indicting him and all this stuff, and we're going to run this propaganda campaign against him. They tried everything, racist, sexist, whatever. We're going to just come at him full speed, and he will break, because anybody else would have. And so they're not foolish in thinking that. They're just corrupt pieces of crap, but he didn't break.
Yeah.
So kudos to Trump, and everyone should really, the people who don't like Trump, it's like, why would he be doing this if it wasn't for you?
No.
He doesn't need it. If anybody doesn't need it, he doesn't. So open your eyes and take a look at why would a billionaire put himself through this stuff?
Yeah.
It's not for him. It's for you. And to have and to be bashing Trump and eating up their propaganda and spitting it back out is disgusting, because the one person who's trying to help you, you're bashing on behalf of the people who are trying to take your freedom, your money.
Yeah.
Those are the people you're defending, and it's like, are you guys all just brainwashed or stupid, or I don't know what's going on there. I know the brainwashing's going on, but really it's to a point like you really don't have any excuse not to see this. It's as obvious as the day is long.
Yeah. That makes sense, man. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, that makes sense that they expected Trump to drop out and not run at all, and just have a weak Republican candidate that Biden obviously somehow all the polls still have Biden up above some polls that they're putting even on Fox News. A lot of people came out against Fox News yesterday on Twitter, and yeah, that they're putting polls that Biden is beating Trump in rural votes, rural areas.
Yeah, well, Fox News is corrupt now too.
Yeah, no, that kind of made me realize, man, that there's something up with these guys for sure. But yeah,
They're all getting paid to do this stuff, millions and millions and millions of dollars from people like BlackRock Investments. BlackRock Investments, being the biggest investment corporation in the world, is funding all these sorts of things, these companies and politicians and news networks. They give them millions and millions of dollars to say what they want said, so that they can have that corruption in place. And what they consider corruption is, or what I call corruption, they consider the betterment of man, right? Like they're like, we're gonna people, you guys, you regular American people, and the rest of the regular people around the world, you're too stupid to live your own lives. You need help from us, right? This is how they tried it. This is what they think in their mind, right?
Yeah.
But deep down they know they're corrupt, but this is kind of like how they excuse it away in their own minds. This, like, I'm not such a terrible person. I'm doing what's best for them. They just don't know what's best for them. So we're going to have to force it. And the CEO of BlackRock has said this. We're going to have to force people to change their behaviors, and we're going to do it with money. So companies and news networks and politicians who say what they want them to say and behave the way they want them to behave are given lots and lots of money. If they don't, they are not given any money, and the other ones that take the money now go after the ones who didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen that. It's on video, no? Him saying that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Flat out said it.
Well, yeah, well, I mean, then it makes
And then you
more
got
sense.
news of the day. I did think of one thing. You got the Attorney General Garland, who defied a subpoena from the United States Congress. Now, keep in mind, the United States Congress are the people that you elected to represent you. And they subpoenaed Biden's interview
Yeah.
on his classified documents, and the attorney general said, "No, we're not going to give it to you." Now, Garland is not elected by you. He's not. He's not supposed to be in charge, but he defies the people's representative, the people you elect. He says no to. He doesn't have that authority. So the United States Congress turns it over to the Department of Justice for prosecution. The Department of Justice says, no, we're not going to prosecute him. They're also not elected. What he did is illegal. The United States Congress, who's voted in by you, the people, demanded this information from him, which he's compelled to give by law. He
Yeah.
said no. It's turned over to the Department of Justice. The Department of Justice, who's not also not elected the head of the Department of Justice, none of them are, but the head's the one that makes the decision. He says no. We're not going to do anything about it. So you can see the corruption right there. You
Yeah.
got people who aren't elected running the country. And when they do anything wrong, there's no federal law enforcement who's going to do anything about it. Then you got Trump, who's not doing anything wrong, and then he's the threat to their power, and they make stuff up. The Department of Justice is going to indict him 34 times. El Chapo doesn't have 34 indictments. Al Capone didn't have 34 indictments. I mean, these ridiculous, huge criminals in history don't even have as much convictions as Trump, right? So if you're a liberal and you think, no, Trump's a bad guy, he deserved 34 convictions. I mean, how do you square that? I mean, he's getting more convictions than the most notorious criminals in history who killed people. I mean, it's on your face, and to say you can't see it, you are in a depth of denial that is beyond pale, or you're just a terrible person who's saying, you know what, I don't care, my blue team is winning. But the blue team, you're not on it. You're on it as a pawn. Once that blue team seizes power completely, it's going to be just the rich. That's the only team. The rich and the poor. That's what they want here. And the red and blue team, they're really the same team too. So don't get me wrong. I'm not a registered Republican or Democrat, because the Republicans, a lot of them are full of crap too. They're not indicting Biden. Why aren't they fighting back? You got all these attorney generals indicting Trump. Why aren't attorney generals indicting Biden, which you actually have crimes? Why aren't they impeaching him, where you actually have evidence of corruption? They're not doing anything. They just go out there and talk about it. Yeah, well, we're getting close to impeachment. They're not going to do anything either, because it's a shell game. Both sides are corrupt. Not all Republicans are. I would say pretty much all Democrats are, if not all. But the the top guys on both sides, they're corrupt.
Yeah.
And so it's not even red team, blue team. It's their team, the rich elite, versus your team, everybody else. So you think you're on one of their teams. You're not. You're on the team of regular Americans who they're trying to strip away money and power from you so that you are owned by them. You are going to be subservient to them. So you just keep paying the high prices on rent, keep paying the high mortgages, can't buy a house. The price of cars is ridiculous. Price of gas is ridiculous. Price of everything's ridiculous. That's intentional to make you subservient. But you just go out there and cheerlead for your team and check that box. And you went out there and cheerleaded for it. Yeah. I'm getting angry. It's so dumb, man. People
I'm
are
with
so.
you, man. You're making perfect sense, bro. Yeah. Now I saw that actually this week that they're finally trying to fight back, and I don't know what they're trying to do. Sue the state of New York for lawfare against Trump, and they've always been on Jim Jordan's ass about not doing anything about all this lawfare against Trump. I guess he had some sort of power. He's a head of I don't know what committee or something.
I think he might be I think he's the judiciary.
Yeah, would he have any
Either that
authority?
or the head of one of the big committees.
Yeah, so that they've always been on his ass about doing something. He's never done anything. All they ever do is, and it's funny the way they stated on Twitter. Oh, what do you like? He'll post something kind of complaining and saying this isn't right, and he'll make perfect sense. But then in the comments, everybody's like, "Oh, what are you gonna do, Jim Jordan? Just you're gonna write a strongly worded letter. You're not gonna do anything." And they make fun of him
because it's all a game.
And that's what they've been doing the entire time.
That the rich are winning. The rich elites are winning this game against the regular people. They are 1% of the country. We're 99%, and the 1% are handing us our ass.
Well, that's crazy. I think most of the opposition against Trump, as far as voters, it's for sure some sort of Trump derangement or whatever the hell's happening to these kids, these people that are, protesting in support of Palestine. As far as they're going, all these climate activists, some sort of stupidities of
It's
infecting.
indoctrination,
Yeah,
indoctrination in public school, in public universities or private universities as well. These public schools are indoctrinating your children. You send honestly, if I had a child right now, I wouldn't send him to public school. It's like child abuse. It's an indoctrination center for the fascist government of the United States. It's nothing more than that. They prioritize propaganda
yeah,
before math, science, anything like that. And the reason is that then as they grow older, they're already on the team of brainwashed. And in the public universities, China is giving billions of dollars, and other countries too. Russia, they're giving billions of dollars to public universities in the United States. Why would they do that? What do they get? They get schools that push communist propaganda,
yeah,
right? And so this is intentional, and our own government is in on it too because they want to be communists or fascist, however you want to call it, authoritarians. Are really the end of the line. There, you can call it whatever you want, but it's basically the government rules and the people sit down and shut up, and that's
yeah.
exactly what they want. So you can go and cheerlead for whatever team you want. You're not on any of those teams. They have their own team, and their team is kicking your ass while you're out there cheerleading for your ass to get kicked.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely
It's like,
something up with
dude,
these.
seriously, what the? I mean, it's insane.
Did you see that video of those climate activists defacing Stonehenge?
No, but
Yeah,
oh, we're gonna go deface some rocks.
yeah, they spray painted it.
I mean, those damn rocks are causing problems to the climate.
Freaking idiots, man.
It's,
Um,
it's well, a lot of these people get paid too. So a lot of these people are government actors who are being paid, and then they get other people who are just propagandized and are mentally challenged, are not all psychologically well
no,
to go out there and do this stuff too. You got to be a little off or getting paid to do a lot of this stuff that these people do because it's just so dumb. There's no thought behind it at all. It's just
yeah,
robotic. Go and do it. Like
no.
I'm gonna go paint or do whatever they did, paint
To,
on
to try to
rocks.
end oil.
Right.
Makes no
What are the
sense.
what does a pile of rocks have to do with climate change?
Yeah,
It makes no sense anyway. So okay. And like with these people who do this stop oil and sit in front of cars on the freeway or on the streets,
oh yeah,
why don't people just find out who these people are, go to their house and block their street?
no,
You know, because they're going to get in their car and go to work, go wherever. It's not like they're driving around on their bicycle all day and they all have electric cars. Some of them probably do, but I'll bet there's a bunch of these people who are total hypocrites who have gas running engines and they use gas in their house. They'll go block their driveway, you know, and see when they have to be somewhere, right? Oh, you can't go, bro. We're saving the world. Then they're going to be like, "Oh, this sucks." Yeah, this is what you do to people because you didn't think it through. You know, you're just a pawn. You're you're like a sheep being led around by a sheep herder. You know, it's like you have no brains.
well, no. Well, yeah, it's just the people like at the WEF. What do they say when they go to their meetings, stuff like that? They talk about climate change and all the things they got to do, all the draconian laws they got to pass all over the world. Yet they show up there in private jets. They leave in private jets that pollute more in one trip than most cars in an entire year. So
They're full of crap in every way.
yeah,
They
man.
drive around in gasoline engines that are unnecessary, right? In limos. They fly private jets. They live in homes. They don't want you using excess water. They don't want you having. They don't like walls. They don't like guns. They live in homes that are gated with massive lawns, super green because all the water they use, and they have people there with guns to protect them. So all the things they say they're against, they do because it's all bullshit.
Nope.
This is just a way to control people, to get people um, fearful.
Yeah.
Climate change is nothing more than, hey, let's make people afraid so that we can get them moving the way we want. Fear is a great motivator, and that's what they do.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I think even John Kerry had predicted, I guess, like about 14 years, like in 2010 or something, that in 10 years, we're gonna start seeing the effects of climate change on the coastlines, and we're gonna see certain places going underwater, and
How much you want to bet that dummy has a house on the beach?
yeah, probably, yeah,
That's
but
how
people,
full of crap they are. The same people who are like, hey, the ocean levels are going to rise and they're going to, all this stuff. Then why do you have a house on the beach? Why would
yeah,
you buy a house on the beach? Why wouldn't you sell it if you already had one? They don't do that because they don't even believe it. It's nothing more. Climate change is just a way to get people afraid, to get them to rob you of a lot of money.
well, no, but in the post, people start posting pictures of comparisons of coastlines from like 50 years ago and now, and there's like no change at all. Like everything's exactly the same. Like nothing's changing at all. So
It's
these
all
people,
lies. Like
yeah,
if you
man,
go back and anybody can do this, just Google Time and Newsmax or Time and Newsweek's magazine cover of the big freeze of the 70s.
oh
On
yeah,
the cover of those magazines, it says the United States is going into a global freeze, or there's going to be a global freezing. Right, the world is cooling down, and we have climate change, and everything's going to freeze.
yeah,
Right, they were all the scientists agreed. Right, they all agreed, and
yeah,
and it didn't happen. And now it's not freezing. Now it's getting hot. Right? Guess what? That's called freaking climate. That's what it does. Right? We've only been measuring the temperature for what, a couple hundred years or so.
yeah,
Not that long anyway. Even if you did 1,000 years, out of 4.5 billion that the Earth's been around, we have very little data on it anyway. But
yeah,
the climate change is going to happen naturally. I mean, like I said, we can have. I think we can have a very small effect on it, but the Earth is a living organism that adjusts and makes adjustments based on what it needs to do, what's happening to it. It balances itself back out. So this whole climate change is nonsense, and it's like I said, it's a money grab. They get all this money for climate change, and then they just keep it. Right?
yeah,
What are they
yeah,
doing about it? What are you going to do about it? You're going to put an umbrella up against the sun, or what are you going to do? Right?
yeah,
We're going to stop aerosols from going in the air and stuff like that, or gas polluting. Now that I don't have a problem with, but how much of the climate that's affecting? Probably a little bit.
yeah,
But even before that, I mean, volcanoes have been around 4.5 billion years, and they spew out more carbon monoxide from one eruption than you would spill out the human race would spill out in a year.
yeah.
Right. So, well, I mean, we guess we got to cap the volcanoes, and then we want to capture cow farts. Like they have like contraptions to put on cows that capture their farts. Like they're insane. Cows have been around forever, idiot.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's
It's just
just
the lengths that they're willing to go, man. Just make them so
there's
they're
some
complete.
people who actually believe this stuff, who are doing these things, but the people who really push it are really at the top, and it's just about money and control. Same as COVID, same as everything. It's money and control.
Yeah. They're definitely trying to put some sort of system in place all over the world and just use that as an excuse. Like I said, since we started this show, man, I think what they're trying to put in place is this system that's in China. These social credit system where you're charged for every. Well, actually, here in California, Newsom's trying to propose that you pay like 60 cents for every mile that you travel or something like that. I forgot what the amount was, but
Right. And
so
we
they're already
talked
doing it.
about the credit system last time, having an economic credit score and how that's used as a social construct to evaluate people's worth as a human being.
Yeah,
And it's going to come to that where they have social scores. It's all about control,
yeah,
right? They just want to control everybody. Look, it's our world. We're the 1%. This is our world. This is our playground. You guys are here. We need you little workers to do some stuff for us to make our food and clean our houses and things like that. We need you for that. But other than that, you need to act exactly the way we tell you to act. You're not
yeah,
coming up and you're not going to do anything bad. and they're just tightening that vice. That's what it really comes down to. And so these people who think that Democrats are for the poor people, or Republicans are for the people, or whoever, these are rich people who are for rich people.
Yeah.
That's it, right? They don't give a crap. It's not about ideology. It's about economics. They're on top, and they view this as like, we're smarter than you, we're better than you, and this is our world, and we deserve it. You don't deserve it, but we'll let you live here out of the goodness of our kindness of our hearts. But you're going to act the way we want you to act. You're going to use what we tell you to use. You're going to do everything we tell you to do, or else we will start penalizing you in a multitude of ways. And those ways are starting to come with the social credit score. I'm sure this shit's going to happen.
Oh yeah. I mean, shit. Newsom praises Xi, the president of China. Even what's his face? The president of Canada. What's his name? Trudeau. Trudeau's came out and praised them. So yeah, they definitely admire China and how much control they have over their citizens. But
Because
I don't know.
China paid them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, fuck
China
everybody.
paid them to do this.
China's paying everybody. They own.
And for like and so for like Trudeau or whatever leader is like following these Chinese sorts of ideas, like for them, communism isn't such a terrible thing. If you're on top, it's fantastic, right? You can do whatever you want, right? There's no consequences for you, and you're rich, and the earth is your playground. So for them, they'll be fine. They're better than fine. They'll be better than they are now. So they have no problem with this. But the problem that comes in there for everybody else is that they need to squash you
Yeah.
to do that. And so quit cheerleading for these people who wanted to destroy you or take away your freedoms and your ability to live a decent life, and judge you on every little thing you do. Meanwhile, they're having um, massive parties, flying around in jets, having prostitutes, you name it. They're
Yeah.
doing all the bad things that they don't want you to use. They're using all the things they don't want you to use, all the water, all the gas, all the food. I mean, they're gluttonous to the 10th degree, but they don't want you to be, because you're just lucky to be here
Yeah.
because we allow it. This is really their mentality, and so people got to wake up, man. They got you guys so confused or fooled on thinking that they're on your team, or they're going to help you. They ain't interested in helping you. They're interested in helping themselves. And I don't care what side of the aisle they're on. It doesn't matter. It's all one aisle.
Well, it's just a trip that it's really all coming down to Trump, man. I mean, if Trump has to be successful, because if he isn't, everything you just said, everything we're talking about, it really is going to come to pass. Because we already see how
Yep.
ineffective the rest of the Republican politicians are. They don't do anything. Uh, so if they had
Right.
any
And,
power, they
and
would
the
have demonstrated it by now. But they haven't done shit. So if Trump doesn't win, fuck, man, it's getting crazy.
Yeah, and the reason they don't do it, it's one of two things. They're either, well, it's probably both things, because most people have dirt in their closet, and the NSA and the CIA and the FBI can find that dirt. So all these politicians on the right who maybe have good intentions, they're not going to do anything because they're like, yeah, well, guess what we know about you, right? And on top of that, they also bribe the shit out of them.
Yeah,
So it's like, hey, take the money and go along with the program, and not only will we not mess with you, you'll have way more money. You're going to have a way better life. Or go ahead and stand on your principles, and we're going to come after you, and we're going to expose you to the world for this, that, or the other. And even if they have to manipulate and create things, they'll do it like they did with Trump. So it's a really, really scary situation if you're on Capitol Hill and you're a righteous person trying to do right by the American people. That is such a threat to them that they will. There's no, you just look at Trump. He's a perfect example of it. And they're coming out and they see that, right? That's the other thing they did with Trump is like, look what we'll do to a president. If we'll do
yeah,
it to him, we'll do it to anybody. Go ahead and indict Biden, or go ahead and try to fight back legitimately. Do something other than talking. We don't mind that you talk crap, right? And you contradict um, the government, because that gives the illusion that there is a choice to the people.
No.
And we want to keep that illusion going as long as we can until we can seize complete power. So that's actually a useful tool to them to have these Republicans saying negative things about the Bidens or whoever the government, because that leads people to believe, well, you know what, we do have a choice. I'm going to get on board with these guys, but they're never going to act, and they don't act, like you said. Like, the proof's in the pudding. Where's the action? There is
Yeah.
none.
No.
They don't do anything but talk.
I've been wondering about Ted Cruz. I guess there's the people saying that at one point he was being considered by Trump in 2016 to be his attorney general, or that he
Mm-hmm.
and that he might still be like consideration for that if Trump wins. So I'm wondering how real Ted Cruz is, because he's been posting on X that for the past, I don't know how many months, since I guess since October 7th, that every single Saturday, like clockwork, that protesters have been lining up in front of his house and protesting in support of Palestine. Like every single Saturday, he says they stand right in front of his house. And I'm just wondering, why the hell would they keep doing that to him, of all people? You know what I mean? Like he hasn't been like the strongest advocate for, you know what I mean, for Israel and stuff like that. Like there's probably other people that are a little bit more, but so I'm wondering why him. But yeah, it's probably just intimidation.
Well, maybe they haven't gotten all the way to him yet, and this is a way to start putting pressure on him. Look at what we'll do to you. We'll start here, and it'll get worse. Actually, it's funny because when Trump ran for president the first time in the primaries for the Republican primary, I voted for Ted Cruz. I
Oh,
didn't even
really?
vote for Trump in the primary.
No
Yeah, but then
shit.
Trump was the nominee, so obviously I voted for Trump. No, Ted Cruz was my guy.
Wow, I didn't know
But
that.
and I don't have any dirt on him, so I can't say. But I'm so suspicious now of any of them that
Not well. You might have been
I,
on
I
the
don't know.
track, because to me, the fact that he's getting protested against every single Saturday, it means that they feel he's some sort of a threat, that he's a real person. You know, I mean, if they knew that
And
he was already
I would
compromised,
agree.
yeah, you know, what I mean, there's something to him. You know what I mean? But
Right.
I
So
don't know if
they're
it's
going,
powerful.
look, th- this is what we did to Trump. We started, protesting him and then propagandizing his name or bashing his name, calling him all sorts of horrible things, and then we upped it. So they're
Yeah,
kind of probably demonstrating to Ted Cruz, hey, you might want to chill out and get with the game a little bit here. We don't mind you criticizing. Maybe he's gone too far
yeah,
for their liking, right? He's exposing too much for their liking, and they're like, well, we're going to start the game with you too. And if you back off, the game stops. If you don't, it gets more intense.
yeah, yeah. Just kind of curious why they're
But
doing
yeah,
that.
Ted Cruz was my guy.
Eesh. Did you hate what Trump did to him in the primaries in 2016? Well, he
What Trump do? Oh, like talking crap?
Todd Kraus accused his dad of being one of the shooters of JFK.
Oh, I didn't even know he did that.
Oh, yeah, I think they posted it on in National Enquirer, and then Trump brought it up, I think, during one of the debates, and yeah, Ted Cruz was like, "That's
That's weird.
ridiculous."
I wonder where he comes up with that. We did the
Oh,
whole thing on JFK. I never even heard of that.
yeah, there's I guess Ted Cruz's dad. There's a picture of him, I think with I
Because
think
Ted Cruz is from Cuba, right?
yeah, but well, his parents originally from Cuba, but so I guess there is a
Okay, so
picture of his dad with Oswald when in the video of Oswald like passing out pamphlets and stuff like that. I guess around that time, and so the National Enquirer just did this probably as a hit piece, because the National Enquirer, the David Pecker, he was whatever the guy's name is, the owner, he was for Trump, so they were using some dirty tactics, and playing
right.
Trump was playing dirty, man. But obviously it was for the better in the end. But
Yeah, and
yeah,
that's what I say. It's like, Trump's not the savior. He's not God. He's not going to solve all our problems. You know what I mean? He's the guy right now, and he's by far the best we have. And I give it up to him. He's holding his ground when no one else would. But to imagine that he's a perfect person or that he's squeaky clean, it's just not true. But he's way better than everybody else. But yeah. So he's got to. You can't become president of the United States without playing a little dirty. But
yeah,
there's a line, right, where you start prosecuting people to keep them out of power.
yeah,
That's election interference. That's political persecution. That's lawfare. That is That is against the American people. That's telling the American people, hey, you can't vote for who you want to. But like I say, he's not. I haven't agreed with every time he attacks somebody. Most of the time, it's just funny. But with Ted Cruz on that one, yeah, I would need to see some evidence to back that up. Otherwise, that's a little much, bro.
Yeah, no, yeah, it was like a big scandal at the time.
Right. Well, Kamala Harris called Biden a racist
Oh yeah, yeah, I'm seeing that
during the
one.
primaries. Yeah, he's racist, and now she's his vice president. So she don't mind working for a racist when there's money and power. Though, you see what I'm saying? They're full of crap.
That was
Like,
crazy.
oh yeah, the KKK is okay when I'm getting paid.
Yeah,
Like, you know what I mean? Like, so how are you going to try to act like you have any moral ground if you're going to say someone's a racist and then go work for them?
yeah.
I mean,
What are you thinking about? There's that's the other kind of thing that was headlines. The rumors that they are gonna replace Biden, I guess, of the Democratic convention. I just don't see how
well,
it's gonna happen, man.
that
I
for
don't see
a
how it
couple of
could.
years.
Huh?
That was my theory, probably at least a year or two ago.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's a no brainer, dude. It's a no brainer. You got a guy who can't even figure out where he is, can't complete a sentence without being injected with some shit, right? So, he'll do good in the debates because he's going to be all juiced up on vitamin B and Coke or something, right? He'll be wide awake for a debate. They'll keep him juiced up enough to do that, but on his own, and you can't live like that regularly. So most of the time he's not like that, and you can't think clearly. He's very lost. So he's a really bad candidate, and he's getting his ass handed to him by Trump in the polls. I don't care what Fox News says. Just like when Hillary Clinton was going to ran against him, she's going to win, no problem. And then Trump beats her. It's because a lot of people aren't going to tell you who they're voting for because they don't trust the government or the pollsters. But um, as far as Biden goes, yeah, it's a no-brainer for the Democrat Party. You know, you get him to step down, and it's not his choice. He's so corrupt, and I've seen the corruption, so I can imagine what they know. And so it's really a choice to him. Like he can step down and say, you know what, I'm going to step down. It's been a great honor, and serving this country for my whole life, and blah blah blah, all that bull crap. Or we'll force you out. But they want him. And then if you get him out like that, then Kamala Harris becomes the first female president in United States history, and that's a freebie. They can go, oh look, we had the first female vice president, our president. Then you run someone like Gavin Newsom, towards the very end, or whoever you want, whoever your guy is. I'm thinking maybe Gavin Newsom, but it could be somebody else. And you got a whole new candidate against Trump now, where a lot of the people who are like on the sideline, they're like starting to lean towards Trump, might be like, well, okay, it's not Biden though. So maybe I will vote for this guy. So running somebody else now in place of Biden, I think they have a better chance of winning than with Biden. So you can get
That's
rid of Biden, have the first female president ever without one single vote, and have a better challenger to Trump.
oh, so you think they'll push Biden over the elect like through the election, try to get a win, and then he steps down
No, 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 no. I think he'll step down before the election.
before? Okay, yeah,
But yeah, but you want to do it. You want to do it without a lot of time for the American people to really evaluate it because you want to make everything happen fast, so people don't have time to really think and evaluate stuff. So if you get rid of him, put her in, and then she can run, right, and she will. But she didn't get elected. She was just there because he stepped down. So she's not really doesn't really have a mandate from the electorate. So we can run Gavin Newsom against her, and that's fine. Normally, you're not going to run somebody against your own president, but in this case, she wasn't really elected. So yeah, it's an open field at that point. It's not a regular election for the Democrats because the president that's sitting now, Kamala Harris, didn't actually get elected. So we want to have a primary field, and it'll probably include Gavin Newsom and some others. But Gavin Newsom's probably their guy. Isn't that Pelosi's nephew or whatever?
is it? I don't
So, and
know.
he's gonna go along with the corruption all day long. He's a good looking guy, and people won't have time to think much about him or vet him, and they're gonna go, you know what? It's not Biden or Trump. Let's go with this guy, without really thinking about it. To be more of a knee jerk reaction is what they're looking for,
They're just gonna have
and
to suppress what he did here in California, though. So because that's
Right, but
basically
how many ads and how much education are you going to be able to give the American people if it's only 2 months or a month out?
yeah, that's true. Yeah, they might just
Right?
be
They do. It just happens real quick, and so all you're going to get is some sound bites, real
no,
quick. You're not going to get a lot of information because there won't be time.
no.
So you're just going to have the you're just going to be able to look at him and listen to some of him speaking, and that's it. And it'll all just be nonsense, and he'll be all glamored up, whatever. And you know, they got a better chance doing that than Biden. Unless they rig the election, then obviously they win, which they will do if they need to. If they can, it's going to be harder this time. But I think that's what they'll do.
Yeah, I think it's getting harder for them to try to rig the election this time around. I think a lot of people are more wise to their tactics. So it is going to have to be just the illusion that there's that Newsom is just going to be a better choice, and just the whole hype. They're going to just base the whole thing on hype behind him and Kamala, and for them to even try to pull it off. But fuck, that's still going to be tough for them to do that. Because it's just the economy the way it is right now. Just illegal immigrants. If they defend that in any way, I mean, I think Trump will keep his support, and I don't think it'll rally up any Democrats. More than
Well,
what's
like
in
I said,
place right now.
You bring in Gavin Newsom, and then you get him to lie. Yeah, we got to do something about the illegal immigration. Here's my plan, right? He's gonna talk like they're talking about all these things right now because the election's coming up. Well, you know what? We got to slow down the people coming over the border. Well, you didn't have to do it for 3 years, but election's coming up, so now you're gonna lie to the American people and say, hey, we're working on these things that you don't like, right?
Yeah,
As soon as the election's over, it all goes back to what they were doing, the overthrow of the United States government. But they'll do your bidding for a minute, right? To make you to fool you while you're paying attention. And as soon as the election's over, they're going to go right back to doing what they're doing and even up their game.
speaking of
So
that,
I could see doing that.
yeah, no, yeah. Speaking of him being a liar, Tucker Carlson was on some podcast the other day, and he brought that up exactly that he's never seen somebody that could lie. He says when people lie, they have certain mannerisms in them that you could sort of could tell that they're forcing the word. He says that with Newsom, he doesn't see any of that. That this guy is just lying is inside of him. That he could just lie to you straight to your face and make you believe him that. And so the person interviewing him, they're like, so he's like a sociopath. And I started thinking that's if he does run, even as a running mate, whatever, that's all they got to do is just keep calling this guy a sociopath. Like just label him that, because if he's for sure he's a liar. You know what I mean? And but
Yeah,
him
and that's
describing
all
it that
good.
way.
My point. That's all good, but my point is, you're not going to have a whole lot of time for that to really resonate because it's going to happen so fast that people will be like, "Oh, he's a sociopath." Well, I don't know. And they're going to, what I mean. You're not going to have a lot of time
Yeah,
to really get that to hit home before you're actually voting. Is that I think that's the plan because I think Biden's been on the way out the door. This has been their plan for probably a couple of years, but um, if you do it 2 years out, well, yeah, we got all kinds of time to
yeah, you're
vet
right.
all these people.
So they're just
But if
using
you do
Biden
it the
right now
last,
to kind of block all the negative press and all that up until the last
what's
minute.
that?
Yeah. I'm saying that, yeah,
Yeah,
you're saying that they're just using Biden just to kind of block all the negative press. He's taking all the brunt of any negative press up until the last minute, and they're gonna put somebody shiny and new in, and hope that, like I said, like hope that hype pushes them over, or at least give the illusion
yeah.
that all of a sudden there was a big turnout for the Democrats because it was somebody new, somebody not
Well,
Biden.
you've had this Trump Biden thing going on for what for so long now. The Trump thing in general, but Trump and Biden, that people are like, you throw somebody new in there, they're gonna be like, oh my god, yeah, let's just move past all that. I could see them thinking that, and that probably will work. It's a good idea. Um, and for corrupt people like this, they're not dumb. They're very rich and smart. It's a good plan. I would be surprised if they didn't do it, but they might not. They might still run Biden. It's possible. Um,
Well, I'm pretty sure they're gonna wait till see how the debate goes next week. So So if he does really bad, fuck, I'm so curious. I want to see how that's gonna go, man. That's gonna be a
But
good one.
really, think about it like, what more does anybody, I don't, even if you're a Biden supporter, what more do you need to see to know that this guy's not cognitively there? He's not okay. And it's not his fault. He's old,
You know, yeah, I
right?
was
But
gonna,
he's not capable of being the president of the United States. He hasn't been for a long time.
yeah, that's what I was
And
gonna say.
anybody behind that is just lying to themselves. You gotta be, right?
Yeah,
If Trump was acting like that, I would say the same thing.
yeah.
Like, he can't even figure out which way to walk off a stage. He starts just wandering around, he babbling incoherently. Like,
What
it's insane.
the way he was acting at the G7 summit was embarrassing enough, man. That was crazy. He really
And then the
was.
news wants to tell you, the state-run propaganda wants to tell you that that's all fake.
Yeah,
What do you mean it's?
yeah,
I mean, they're literally telling you, don't believe what you saw.
yeah, yeah.
This is how bold they are with their propaganda now. What you saw wasn't what you saw. Like, it's insane. I mean, because it's so bad. And this is how bad. They know he is completely incompetent because of probably age and dementia or something that has to do with age affecting his mental capability. They know it, but they don't care because they know he's not in charge.
I
So
was
they're
actually
like,
thinking.
we just
Yeah,
keep
go ahead.
Bernie propped up on the dolly and keep running the show for him.
I was thinking that maybe that should be a strategy that Trump uses, man. Like, stop saying that Biden's in charge. Stop saying his name. Just say it's not Biden. You guys need to understand Biden is not running the country. There's no way they're giving him these big world problems, and he's making decisions based on how he's acting. He's not all there. It's the Democrats. It's his people behind him. Like, it's the whole Democratic Party that are turning a blind eye to his policies and defending the policies, and they're the ones that you don't want to vote in. Like, try to reach out to other voters that way. Like, it's not Biden. It's these people behind him that are running the country, and that's not.
Right.
We need to get that whole party out because
I mean,
just focusing on
I don't know how
Biden.
I don't know how anybody doesn't know that already. Like, based on the, I can't even count how many times he's just walked around aimlessly, like he's completely lost. He doesn't know where he is. He's shaking hands with people that aren't there, telling people who are crippled to stand up, thanking people who are dead. I mean, on and on and on. Like, all kinds of just insane, crazy stuff that, it's obvious that he's mentally compromised, and it's probably because of age. And so, really, trying to tell somebody this now, it's like, if they don't believe it now, they're not
Well,
ever going to believe it because they don't want to believe it, even though they know it. There's no way any reasonable, rational, healthy individual thinks that Biden is okay mentally. There's no person on earth that's mentally there that can look at him and the stuff he says and the way he acts and think that, yeah, he's fine to be president. He's not even fine to be the checkout guy at the grocery store. He wouldn't even be able to do that. That would actually be a harder job, but there's really no job he can do. And he's the president of the United States, and you're still going to say he's fine. You're either a pathological liar to yourself,
yeah.
or you're not mentally okay, because it's not even a debate anymore.
I think it just comes back to what we were saying at the beginning of the show that people just aren't paying attention. They just assume, well, he's president, so he has to be making the decisions. But there's just no way. There's
I
just no
mean, but
way.
there's so much of this stuff that people had to have seen this stuff.
There's no way he came up with the immigration policy. I don't think there's any way he came up with any sort of economic policy, any sort of foreign policy positions. I don't think there's no way he has the mental capacity to figure out what to do with Israel, Palestine. I think he's just being, like any president, obviously just being consulted and just, but he's probably coming up with decisions, and they're probably like, no, Joe, that's not a good decision, and they're just being.
Honestly, I doubt they go to him with anything.
Yeah,
Honestly,
maybe
I really
he's
doubt it.
probably
I
is
don't
okay.
think they.
What
I,
are
don't,
they saying that
I
this
doubt
entire
he even
president?
sits in the Oval Office.
No,
I
that's
doubt
what I'm
he's
saying.
ever even in the Oval Office.
Yeah, no, that's what they're saying too. That been at Camp David how much time? Like I think
Well,
over 100 days or something like that out of his.
I'm saying even when he's in the White House, I doubt he's really ever in the Oval Office
Yeah,
unless there's like press going to be there. But other than that, I doubt he's sitting in there by himself doing any work ever, ever.
yeah, yeah,
Like he's just in his residence, on his Craftmatic bed watching Jeopardy or Price is
yeah.
Right. That's what he does. I mean, he's doing stuff like that. He's not capable. You're not going to go to him and say, Mr. President, inflation numbers are up. We need to do something about this inflation number. Do you
Yeah,
have anything in mind? To the guy who can't even
exactly.
explain,
Yeah,
like, could you imagine how that would go? Why would you even bother doing that?
yeah,
Like, I'm going to go to him and talk to him about national policy issues or foreign relations.
yeah,
Why would you even go to him? Because he's not able to do anything.
yeah,
So they're not going to him with this stuff.
yeah. That makes more sense. Yeah, man. Well then, I guess we'll see. I mean, how he presents himself at the debate next week, and we'll see. I mean, how Trump attacks him. I guess. Did you see the rules that they have that they're gonna mute mics when somebody's speaking? There's gonna be nobody in the audience.
In other words, Trump gets muted, Biden doesn't.
Yeah, but it's gonna be. You know what? I think what Trump could get triggered by just a small behavior or something like sort of mannerism. What Biden uses a lot is a stupid smile. Like anytime he's attacked, he'll smile and I think that might piss off Trump. So hopefully they're prepping Trump to like just don't get triggered by his smile when you attack him because Trump might come up with a good attack. He needs to try to trigger Biden and throw him off. So hopefully they're doing they're coaching Trump like that to just attack, but don't be offended when if it doesn't work or he needs to say the right thing because especially if they're gonna be able to talk over each other. Because you know what I mean. Because I think that's what he was doing in the debate in back in 2020. Every time Trump came up with good attack points, the laptop, all that, anything, Biden would just smile and just say that's not true, and that's it. That's all it took, and it seemed like
Yeah,
to me it made Trump look like the angry one, and like he was the one that was on the defense, like because he was trying to attack and trying to just take control of the debate, but Biden just
right.
smiles at
Well,
everything.
so I think Trump's position. Now you got to keep in mind, this is CNN, right,
Oh
or
yeah,
ABC. So it's a trap for Trump, all right off the bat. No audience, muted mics, and then a state-run propaganda is holding the debate. Who works for Biden, or works for the state, which is Biden basically. So they're gonna try to trap Trump. So whenever he's making good points, they're gonna cut off his mic. Um, but what Trump, I think his the way he should handle this is just be, I'm just going to talk about what I'm going to do, the mess we're in, and how I'm going to fix it. And then whenever they bring up anything about Biden, I would just tell them he's not capable. It's
yeah,
obvious.
yeah,
Like just what we were talking about. You know, no offense, but I'm just saying we all get old, and these things happen to everybody eventually, and he's there, and that's just the reality. So I'm not trying to even worry about that. He's not capable to be president. So this is what I'm going to do as president. Just kind of dismiss him as like he's just not able. Just don't even try to point out all the corruption and things that he's done. Just talk about what you're going to do and talk about when they bring him up. He's not capable.
yeah,
He's mentally compromised, obviously.
yeah. I guess that would make sense. Just just look presidential. Trump just needs to show that
But
he
then
can.
what they're going to do when he does that is because sometimes Trump when he speaks he'll be speaking about something and he's got so many thoughts going through his head that he'll pop in the middle of one and go onto a tangent onto another.
Yeah,
And when you're listening to it, you're kind of thinking, wait, where'd you go? Right? So they're going to try to say that he's mentally compromised because of things like that. I get what he's doing. I do the same thing. I'll be talking about one thing and then another point will pop up that I'm like, oh, wait, I want to talk about this one first. I'll go to that one and I might circle back to the other one. Right? But
Yeah, but
sometimes people think that you can't keep a thought that way if they're not really tracking what you're doing. And so, and they know that, but they're going to try to use that against him. So there's been instances where Trump has misspoke or gone off on tangents, and they're going to try to use that and say, well, what about this speech? So there, he's going to be attacked by the moderators, which are run by the state for propaganda, and they're
yeah,
going to try to attack the guy who's trying to actually defend the American people. They're going to attack his mental acuity because they know that Biden's is gone.
yeah,
And so they have to try to even that playing field. So they're going to try to even the mental acuity playing field. Both of you guys are incompetent, you know,
yeah.
or they're not going to say Joe is, but they're going to try to lower Trump to that. But the end result is what they're saying is neither of you guys are able, is what they're going to try to say. But
Yeah, so I guess that would be his best strategy. Just kind of stay focused. Just try to get the viewer to focus more on the issues and the problems and his solutions instead of him just
talk
going.
about talk about how it was when you were president and how it is now and how
Yeah,
it's going to be back to how it was when you were president. You're
yeah,
going to pay half of what you're paying, if not even less, for everything than you were. You know, you're going to have way more money than you did then. Everything's going to be cheaper,
so
and you know this is true. Seeing it.
would you think it would benefit Trump to even bring up the laptop now that it's come out that it was real?
No,
Like,
I don't even bother.
yeah, like
Don't even bother
why
with that.
complain
Talk
about
about
it, huh?
the economy.
Like,
Talk about
yeah,
the economy. That's what brought people to you. The economy is a fucking nightmare.
yeah,
You know, like I said, you can't even afford an apartment, right? It's insane.
yeah,
So talk about that and talk about how much did you pay for rent? How much did you pay for gas? How much were your groceries when I was president? How much are they now? Elect
yeah,
me and they're going to go back to what they were.
yeah,
You know, because the economy is what brought all these other people to them anyway. They're hurting and they want some relief.
yeah.
Promise them that relief, and you don't even have to promise them it like as if it hasn't been done. You were president for 4 years. They know you can do it. That's what
Yeah.
you did, right? So you have a track record right there.
He did it twice in his presidency. If you think about it, after he shut down the country after COVID, and then he brought back the economy and it boomed again. Like,
Right.
but yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I think that's the best approach, man. Is just focus on the issues. I know he's gonna want to bring up the laptop. I know he's gonna want to bring up stolen election. But I think it's his best interest to
I wouldn't
just,
bring any of that stuff.
yeah. I mean, he says it enough in his rallies and stuff like that, so people get it. So, but I know he wants to call that shit out to his face, but that shouldn't be what the debate should be about. I think he needs to just reassure the viewers that he's the right guy, that he has the right ideas and the right fucking mental capacity to do it. So
Yeah. Focus. Economy, economy, economy.
yeah, because there's nothing for Biden to defend. Like, he can't defend his economy, he can't defend immigration. Obviously, the people are
He can
them.
he can try to defend it all he wants. He's trying to defend it now. He's like, look, when I came into the White House, it was like 9% inflation when it was 1.4. I
Yeah,
don't know, it was something like that. He just lies. So he's
yeah,
going to try to defend it. Like, I inherited a bad economy. But the truth is, don't just let him go and try to defend it. The truth is, you both have had 4 years. There's 4 years of the prices being way lower and
yeah,
4 years of them being way higher,
yeah,
right? And that's it's the end result. So you can try to lie to the American people all you want, but they know what things cost them. Like, this is their real life. This is really happening to them on everyday basis where they can't afford anything. But when Trump was in office, they could. And that's just hammer that home, hammer that home, hammer that home. You know, you win that one and you're good.
yeah,
And
yeah.
there's nothing, he can't lose that one.
Yeah, I think that'd be the best approach too, man. But
But the debates, it's rigged. It's all going to be rigged too. So there's going to be a bunch of traps and things like that. I mean, eh, eh, whichever network is running it behind the scenes, they're working with the government on in some strategy room on ways to come after Trump, and on the economy as well. They're going to lie and skew things and spin things and to try to make it seem like Trump's presidency, the economy wasn't that good, and in Biden's it is. And there's different factors, and so the people running the debate are going to be working against Trump and Biden. So it's 2-on-1, really,
hmm
and you'll see that. I mean, it's going to be obvious. And if I was Trump, I would just stick to the economy and say, yeah, you guys can say whatever you want, but you're all working together. You know, it's me against the elites,
No,
and I'm on the side of the American people, and I want to bring them prosperity. You guys want to ruin their lives. Look at the economy.
yeah,
You know, you can say whatever you want, spend it however you want, inflation numbers, all this stuff, but at the end of the day, gas was 2.50 under Trump. It's $5 a gallon in California anyway under Trump. The price is basically doubled. The price of everything is super high right now compared to when Trump was in office. So go ahead and spend that however you want. That's the realities, and the American people know it when they get up every day, get in their car, fill up their tank, go to the grocery store, go to work. You know, they have way less money. They're barely getting by. Most of them are in debt because of this. I want to get them out of that debt and get them prospering. You know, there you go.
yeah.
And like just like I did in the first 4 years.
Yeah, and the second thing would be just immigration. Just what's going to happen with that many immigrants coming here and jobs and all that stuff like that. How it's going to affect the economy a lot more. I think those two things. We need to do a show one day, man, where we bring up all the video clips of Biden talking about years before what he ends up doing.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you've ever heard the seen that video of him saying like he was doing like a press conference and they asked him like he says, "Oh, yeah, Trump's not going to be president" or something like that, and they're like, "Well, how's he not going to be president? Like, what are you going to do?" He's like, "Oh, we're going to use the powers of government to something along those lines." I don't know if you ever seen that clip.
Oh yeah.
To,
No,
to, to make sure he doesn't become president, and then sure, and this is like years before I think they did that, and sure enough, that's what they did. Even the immigration policy, there's a video clip of him saying, yeah, we're gonna let people in, and at the time it seemed like an offhand remark, and he's talking to some people, but he's like, oh yeah, that's gonna be the source of our power. So yeah, man. And there's a bunch of clips of him. Not only that, the one of in Ukraine of him wanting them to fire that
yeah.
prosecutor, and so he spills the beans on what how the plan his plans are and all that stuff. So for people to think that, what I mean, that this is not all a setup is crazy.
It's all like all these politicians, and especially on the left, are so full of crap. Like Hillary Clinton said black men are super predators. And then she went and campaigned against Trump as if he's a racist.
Yeah,
You can't really say much more of a racist thing.
no,
But in the left is like, and all the black people were like, yeah, we vote for Hillary. She thinks you guys are super predators, right? She was against abortion. The Clintons were anti-abortion. Now they're pro-abortion. Like you can go back and look at all. It's amazing. Schumer, all these guys have said the complete opposite things in the past that they say now, and they were 100% convicted to it then, and now they're 100% convicted to the other side. So the issues don't matter to them at all. Whatever issue that gives them money and power is the issue that they believe in. They don't actually have their own beliefs. They just have belief in money and power, and that's why I say that's the 1% against us. These people don't care about you at all. If they did, you can't switch. Like you can't call black people the racist things and then say, "Hey, um, my opponent's a racist." Like it's
yeah,
like
no shit.
without explaining how your change came about. How'd you go, Hillary, from being a flat out racist to now not being a racist? No explanation needed. The corrupt government, she's part of it. We don't need to explain that. And the people who voted for her are like, yeah, it's fine. It's okay if they say racist stuff. We don't hold them accountable. Joe Biden said all kinds of racist things.
Yeah,
We don't hold them accountable, right? And then the guy who didn't, he's a racist. So they just make crap up. They just make it up. And people buy it all day long. It's insane. Like if your husband or wife or son or daughter or mother, whatever, someone in your life lied to you like that, what would you do? You'd be like, hey, mother effort, what are you doing?
yeah,
Right? But when a politician does it to you, you go, yeah, let's vote for him. Let's give him all the power over our lives.
Yeah.
Why would you do that? You hold
Yeah.
people accountable in your life all day long. Why are you lying to me? You're mad because they lied to you. These guys come on TV and lie to you right to your face, and it's not even a debate whether they do because you know they are. And you're like, I'm gonna vote. I'm gonna go out of my way to actually put that person in power over me. The guy I know is lying. I mean, it's insane.
Yeah. Shit. Well, we'll see how much he lies next week. Next Thursday, I think, is the debate.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what? Notice in the debate, watch how often Joe Biden says "folks" and malarkey. Like he doesn't talk like that, right? Behind closed doors, well, he probably can't make sense anymore. But this is how he tries to schmooze people over. Like nobody talks like that. He's like, "Oh, that's a bunch of malarkey." Come on, folks. Look, I'm going to cut the malarkey, folks. Like who talks like that in real life? Nobody,
Yeah.
and it's all fake. You know, if someone starts talking to you like that, they're lying to you.
Malarkey.
Come on, folks. I'm going to cut the malarkey.
Yeah. He thinks he's talking like a regular person.
Well, a regular person that's old, right? He's trying to get that sympathetic thing. Like I don't cuss. I talk like a normal person of my age from back in the day. I'm just a sweet old grandfather. He's a monster that's lost his mind.